TaxAct can think of a million things more fun than filing taxes. TaxAct is going to name some now. Sitting in traffic. Folding a fitted bedsheet. Listening to your coworker talk about his fantasy team. Digging a hole. Digging an even larger hole next to that original hole. Unfortunately, TaxAct's filing software can't make taxes fun. But TaxAct can help you get them done. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
A blogging, tweeting, baseball man. Just sit back and listen, you'll become a fan. I'm a C70 junkie, a C70. I'm a C70 junkie, a C70. I'm a C70 junkie, a C70. Oh. And now your host, Daniel Shoptar.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with C70. We're dusting this off a little bit as getting a chance to talk again with some of the members of the MLB Fan Council, expanding our reach. And we're talking to Alys today that is covering the Guardians. Alys, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing fine. And the Cardinals and Guardians will be getting together. In fact, we're going to record this and release it Monday morning. So by the time people are hearing this, the Cardinals and the Guardians will be getting ready for a 3-game set. Before we get into your background and all that, how do you feel about the balanced schedule, about seeing all these teams every year?
I honestly really like it. I know with being in the AL Central, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's easy. So it's easy to win if you're constantly facing those teams. But I also think it's cool getting to face everybody at least once. And I work in the NBA, so I always see every team every year. So I think it's cool that the MLB is doing that now too. And then I selfishly like that every other year the Guardians will go to PNC Park in Pittsburgh because I absolutely love that ballpark.
It is a nice looking ballpark, at least from a distance. So I am sure that it is great in person as well. So let's talk. I am going to gather you probably came by your Guardians fandom naturally.
Yeah, I'm a born and raised Clevelander. I went to school here and I still live here. And I also live the Cavs, who I work for. And my family's all Guardians fans, but my grandma is really the biggest fan that I know. So being with her, she's really the reason that I'm as big of a fan that I am.
I guess maybe I should ask then, since you do work for the NBA, if you're picking a sport, which sport are you picking?
I'm actually picking gymnastics.
I saw that you had some writings on that on your Twitter feed, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I work in game entertainment in the NBA. So I really like that side of things. And then as a fan, I love baseball.
Yeah, that's got to be very interesting, a very interesting perspective to go in and see things from that angle on an NBA game.
100%.
Yeah. So again, you grew up as an Indians fan. I can't keep forgetting exactly when the name changed, but
22.
yeah, okay. It hasn't been quite as long as I think it has been. So what are some of your earliest memories of watching the Indians?
One of my earliest memories is going to a game. Sundays, they still do like kids are on the bases after the game.
Mm-hmm.
So my cousins and I, when we were all really little, we did that. And then one of my earliest memories from my first game was missing fireworks because I think I was like in the team shop and I was upset and I started crying. And then a couple more shot off. And I thought that they were shooting those off just for me. And I still like to think that when in reality, we probably hit another home run and that's why they went off.
No, I'm sure it was for you. I'm sure they had
just
to.
for me.
I mean, it's all about the fans and trying to give them what they want,
Right.
So had to be. So I guess you're at the ballpark pretty much. I mean, when your job allows, and I guess the seasons don't overlap a whole lot.
Yeah, that's the nice part.
Yeah, so you can be at the ballpark pretty regularly.
Yeah, I go to about 25-ish games a year. I'm not a season ticket holder,
Mhm.
but I'm there pretty much every other weekend when the guards are in town. And then when we have overlap on either ends of the season, like coming up, Cavs are going into the playoffs again.
Mhm.
I'm hoping to do another doubleheader like I did last year. So 1 o'clock
Ooh,
guards game, head over to the Cavs at 4, and then they play at 7.
that's a crazy day, but a lot of fun, I am
Yeah.
sure.
And they're right next to each other, which is really nice. So I know we have a lot of fans who will do their own doubleheaders.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have been to Cleveland once, and was down the hall. I was down the street at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with my family, and there was a Guardians game going on, and tried to I tried to talk myself into going up there, but nobody else really wanted to. So I missed out on that experience. But that ballpark is a very beautiful ballpark.
It is. I really like ballparks that have that dense urban setting that you can see. I mean, I love the ones on the water. Don't get mad at me for this, but Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Those two are very cool ballparks I visited. I've also been to Detroit, which that setting reminds me a lot of ours because you can
Mhm.
see all the buildings downtown, which I think is really cool. And there's really no bad seat at Progressive Field, especially if you're sitting up in right field, like in the nosebleeds there, you get a beautiful view of the sunset.
Mm.
And I think it's a really easy ballpark to navigate. Like you can't really like get lost in there.
Don't tempt my wife. She probably could. But so how many ballparks then have you gone to?
I've been to 4. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, I've been there twice, Cincinnati and Detroit. I'm actually gonna head up to Detroit next month when the Blue Jays are there.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. So what team are you look do you like if you're looking at the schedule, you're trying to figure out your 25 games or whatever, what team coming into town are you circling that you really want to see?
The only 3 teams that I have not seen are the Mets, Marlins, and Rockies, and the Mets are coming here this season, so I'm excited to cross them off. I have to wait, hopefully, for next year to see the Rockies and Marlins come to
Mhm.
town. I don't wanna have to wait until 29 for that, but I guess we'll see.
It's funny because I think you used to talk about Miami, and that's one of the earlier memories I have of Cleveland is watching the end of that World Series, which is a painful memory, I know, for people in Cleveland. But it is fascinating just to think about those two teams getting to see each other, I guess, in a regular season, and not that we haven't done this for a while now, but it's still kind of interesting to that's a matchup you don't necessarily think about.
Right. Yeah, my only World Series memory is 2016. So last week we actually hosted the Cubs for our home opening
Mm.
series. And yeah, that is something that we will never forget or let go of. And of course, we're having rain delay issues last week, and it's like bringing back all the painful memories.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in your corner that series, and we really wish it had worked out better for everybody involved. So, how did you start then getting into? I mean, I don't know exactly how to phrase it. The social media side of things, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it really started probably around COVID because there was really nothing else to do. So
Mhm.
ironically, I was tweeting a lot during Browns games. I'm no longer a Browns fan,
Uh,
as of circa 22, if you can figure out why that would
mm.
be. I'm a Bills fan now. But I would watch Browns games and just tweet through them and be like, okay, here are my thoughts on the game. Here's how I'm feeling because I really had nobody outside of my family to talk to it. And then some people started following me, and then I started tweeting more, actually, like the 2021 Guardian season. And then 2022, once I was in college and starting to go to a lot of games, that's where things really just ramped up. And now I have over 7,000 followers, which is weird because I'm like, who are you people? But yeah, I think it's fun just to post my own experience, to interact with other fans and see what they're thinking and what they're experiencing at the ballpark in different games. And then I've kind of expanded more to my Instagram and TikTok, just to post like a wide range of content because I just think it's fun to interact with the game in different ways.
What is Guardians Twitter or Guardians Instagram or Guardians? What I mean, and again, those the different fan bases may be different on different platforms. What is that like?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely, I mean, unless it's just like my perception of it, it's not as connected on Instagram and TikTok. Like you'll have other
Mhm.
fans who will like your posts, but I feel like that's about it. At least from my experience. But Guard's Twitter, that's where the fun is at, especially with the memes. There are a lot of people who are really creative. I love seeing under, the team that we beat, their posts and seeing what all the different fans are coming up with. There's definitely the overreacting as if we lose a game or if a player's having a down streak, but I feel like that might be like every team, but I feel like for the most part, a lot of Guards fans are both funny and creative, but are also very smart and know what they're talking about when it comes to maybe prospects or what a player needs to do differently or stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting because we do get so tied into our fan bases. I have lists for different teams, and I check them every once in a while. But just especially like if we're playing, whoever, and seeing what the other fans are saying. But you don't really get a feel for what it's like to be in that experience day by day, and the in jokes and the people that are what who to follow and the ones who to take with a grain of salt. So
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sure that there is a lot of that as well. Is it a I don't want to say maybe a large group? Is it a fairly, or is it kind of focused in on a handful of people?
I like to think it's not just like a handful of people and not super clicky. I mean, personally, I'd like it to be a space where, hey, you're a Guardians fan, I'm a Guardians fan, like let's follow, let's talk. Um, but yeah, whenever I see like a new person come up and they post something funny and like whether it's reposted by someone or I just came across it, I try to give them a follow.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. And yeah, I mean, Cardinal Twitter can be that way. It feels like it's quite a large family at times. There are people that keep it in line a little bit, but it does feel like it tends to expand, especially during a season. The last few seasons, it's not necessarily expanded in a great way, but it has been a bit of a ride. So let's talk a little bit about how the Guardians are doing this year. We're recording this Saturday afternoon. Currently, Guardians are in first place. Is that a bit of a surprise to you?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really do anything at all during the off season aside from get a couple of relief pitchers. So there was a lot of frustration, I think, reasonably from fans on that. We did sign Reese Hoskins to a minor league deal, and he ended up making a roster, and he's been pretty good. I think for what we have and the lack of movement we had in the off season, I'm feeling a lot more confident than I thought I would. And I'm like a hopelessly optimistic person. So, of course, everyone expects me to be like, oh, yeah, they're going to be good. But I think from what we've seen so far, knock on wood, we haven't lost a series yet. We also beat the Dodgers. We're the only team to beat the
Mm.
Dodgers in a series. So I'm feeling pretty good. And especially having Chase the Lauder here now, I've been watching him since we drafted him in 22. He's a very special player, and I'm glad that he's finally up here and killing it.
Yeah, it's fun to see the young prospects come up. The Cardinals are dealing with that with JJ Weatherholt as well, and to get that kind of immediate impact is not something you always get, but it always is fun when it happens. Is there anything that has gone in this first 2 weeks in a way that you were like unexpectedly? I guess the idea that you thought something was going to be a weakness has turned into a strength.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely not having set positions in our outfield. Our
Mhm.
infield is pretty solidified. We lost our shortstop, Gabriel Arias, to a hamstring injury for the next couple of weeks, but we called up a prospect, Juan Burrito. He's playing second, and Rocchio moved over to short, and that is working pretty well. So our infield's good, but our outfield has been up in the air and our biggest question for years now. Stephen Kwan has moved from left field to center, which is where he started at before coming up to the big leagues. But all of a sudden, it's hey, fifth year in this in the in the MLB, let's put you in center.
Why not?
So there's that experiment. It's working well for him there, but then it's a matter of okay, who do we put at the corners then? So Chase DeLauder will play some right field, but with his he's a little bit of a little injury prone, so we try to
Mm.
DH him every once in a while. So if he's DHing, who do we put there? Who's in left? Or so we're switching that around quite a bit. But even when that's up in the air, it seems like no matter who's playing in the outfield on any given day, they're going to be producing, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's a lot of it's always good when you can just kind of, throw somebody in there and know that something good is going to happen. I mean, except for you're talking about the rotation there in the outfield, is the lineup fairly consistent except for that?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty consistent. Usually it's just a matter of, okay, is it a righty or a lefty? Because even though Stephen Vogt says that he doesn't do platoons, he has been platooning, especially the past couple of years. Um, but I think it is usually pretty consistent, especially if you have DeLauder in right, you'll probably see Angel Martinez in left or maybe in center and then Quan in left.
And of course, if you're talking about the Guardians, you're always thinking about Jose Ramirez. What's that like to know a guy like that is attached to this team for pretty much his entire career?
Yeah, it's like I can hardly remember a time that I wasn't watching Jose Ramirez play for my baseball team, which is so awesome. It's to have a player of his caliber not just like, want to stay here for the money because we're obviously not giving him the money we deserve because we don't spend. But for him to genuinely want to stay here his whole career because he loves it as much as the fans do, it's so amazing. And then to be able to watch him make history and climb the leaderboards in pretty much every category he can for the team, it's so cool to watch in real time. Last week, he became the Cleveland player to play the most games here. And then the next day, he had like the most starts for a Cleveland player. He's just so amazing. And he's also another player who every Guardians fan loves. Like everybody is united on that. If we can agree on one thing, it's that we all love Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, and that's I mean, when you're climbing leaderboards for a team that's been around since the beginning of the American League, that's saying something. I mean, it's obviously a very impactful, put the statue out front of the stadium type of player.
Yeah, I'm like, just build a statue now. Why not?
Yeah.
And then we have a space on Terminal Tower in Tower City. It's most infamously known for having that big banner of LeBron when he was
Mhm.
coming back. But we've had different posters there for a while. It was a Cavs one, and since we traded Darius Garland, we haven't had anything up there, so it's empty. It's weird. I'm like, why not just put a banner of Hosey because you're never gonna have to change that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's evergreen, you put it up and take it down if you need to and put it back up later. I mean, he's gonna be there forever, and that's a great thing, and it is a lot of fun to see, what we would call small market teams be able to hold on to their legends like that. And again, that's more on him maybe than on ownership because of being able to take what they're giving him. But
Right.
to have that opportunity is a rare thing, especially in this day and age. I mean, we've seen it. You look at like Andrew McCutcheon, who had to bounce around at the end of his career, not staying, going back to Pittsburgh, but not getting a chance to stay there his whole time. To have Ramirez there, I think it's just a really nice throwback to some of what we used to see.
Yeah, it really is. That's something that I don't take for granted.
So, right, like I say, Guardians are in first. The Cardinals are tied for first. What are you expecting out of this series? I know we've got a couple of games between now when we're recording this and when we have our teams meet up, but what do you think's going to come out of that series?
Yeah, I hope that the guards continue on the high that they've kicked off the season with. I think if we lose the series to Atlanta, they'll come out angry to St. Louis.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm hoping they keep their momentum going. I'm checking our pitching matchups. Oh, we don't have one listed. Okay, never mind. Um, No, but our starting pitching has been really good. Friday night's game with Slade Ciccone, that was really our only not so great start. So I think you guys will miss Messick, who's supposed to go tonight. So you guys look out there. But yeah, I just hope they continue the momentum they're building. I wouldn't be surprised though. They have like one game each series where they're like, let's just get one or two hits. So if they do that, I would be disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals have had they've been able to manufacture some runs here and there, and they don't ever feel like they're necessarily out of a game, which is a bit of a surprise given the last couple of years and given, what the lineup is made up of when you're in the middle of a rebuild. But it always has seemed to be that the Cardinals are very good at taking advantage of walks or hit by pitches and things of that nature, and not necessarily going to put up 10 hits a night or anything like that. So it may come down. I hope it doesn't come down to a battle of the bullpens, because I know that there are some people not in yours, but I imagine it's still probably stronger than the average bear.
Yeah, our back end, Eric Sabrowski, Cade Smith, and then Hunter Gaddis should be coming back soon. They're amazing. It's the guys in the middle who, some of them I'm like, hey, why are we bringing this guy up in this situation? The middle part of the bullpen seems to be a little up in the air as far as who like who's getting what role. But yeah, that back end is definitely still dangerous.
Yeah. And I mean, it is still early. So, there are people sorting things out, and, one bad outing doesn't necessarily make for a bad pitcher. It just makes for a really bad stat line. So,
Right.
it'll be interesting to see. The Cardinals will be running out, should be, if I'm right, should be running out Liberatore, um, McGreevy, and then Dustin May. So it just depends on which Dustin May you get, I guess, depending on what that series will look like.
Yeah, I think you guys are gonna get Williams, our ace, to start. So that should be good. And then Joey Cantillo and then Slade Ciccone.
Yeah. Well, it should be a good matchup of teams that are, or maybe, I don't want to say overperforming, but at least surprising folks early on, and look forward to seeing how it all shakes out. What is what are you thinking for the rest of the season? What is your outlook on them?
Yeah, I'm hoping that after back-to-back years of winning the AL Central, we can go for the three-peat. And I hope that if there comes a time where a change is needed, like if there's a position where it's clear that what's going on in the field isn't working out, I hope that we're not afraid to make changes, because when we were in a horrible losing streak in the middle of last summer, we were rolling out with the same lineup. Nothing was changing. And it was like, okay, why are we expecting things to be different? So I'd like to see them, get a little progressive and make some changes if there's changes needed. But I hope that they continue, ride on the momentum that they've already built. And I hope they take advantage of any opportunities presented to them. Like you're saying, that the Cardinals take advantages of walks and hit by pitches. I hope we can do more of that. I also hope I hope they stick with Chase DeLauder in the 2 hole, because you can't walk him, because you're gonna get Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
So that's been awesome. I hope they stop platooning. If a player is getting hot, maybe they're not as like Kyle Manzardo. He's our first base DH. He's not the best against lefties as a lefty. Just drop him down in the order. It doesn't mean don't play him, because he can hit homers off of lefties. Yeah, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I have high hopes for them, and I hope that they can live up to it. And then I'm also a Detroit hater, so I hope that when we face them, we can humble them some more, because since they and the Lions have both gotten good, and now the Pistons are the #1 seed, it's like, okay, you guys need some humbling. So I hope we can provide that.
Is there a rivalry between the two cities? I mean, in general?
Yeah, it's definitely grown over the past couple of years since facing each other 2 years in a row in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I feel like before, I always say the AL Central is the best when the Guardians and the Twins are the top 2 teams. those are my favorite fans to interact with and go back and forth with. Twins Twitter, they rock. Don't love their team, but the people are awesome. But yes, since the Tigers have gotten good, like there's have been some fans who are just crazy. I had one in my DMs last year who he was like telling me to shut up each time the Guardians won. I'm like, I didn't say anything. But yeah, it was like having that rivalry, especially in the playoffs, like the energy was insane. It was fun.
Yeah, and especially after y'all's comeback during the second half of the season, I'm sure that added a little bit of fuel to the fire.
Right, yeah, we had our historic 15.5 game comeback to clinch the Central, which had never been done before. And of course, Tigers fans are gonna be like, okay, well, who won in the playoffs? Okay, but you guys went no further than you did the year before. We still played you in the playoffs when we had a much worse roster than the year before. And since they didn't go any further, nobody's talking about them. Nobody's going to remember that. Everybody's going to remember the 15.5 games that they blew.
Exactly. Well, I look forward to, at some point, I don't know when y'all will meet up this season, but I will try to get the MLB TV going for those games and seeing what they turn out to be. It's been fun. It's been a good conversation. Is there anything that we haven't touched on you'd like to touch on, either in Guardians or in your own life?
I don't think so. Just chased a ladder for Rookie of the Year and MVP.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you joining us today, and I know that we'll be doing it again. Maybe next year when the two teams get together, we can revisit this again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Runner at first, 1 out, 2-0 to Witten. Into center field! Did he? Yes! His 4th home run of the game. He has 12 RBIs. 15-2. Unbelievable. A grand slam, 2 3-run home runs, and a 2-run shot. Unbelievable.